I'm a little torn on this, actually.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because I heard a statement, and I anticipate him wanting to come back and wanting to play and wanting to finish his career in the right way. And it's been an absolutely amazing career. But I think back to a couple of years ago where he was talking about, I've been in the league for a long time, my body's hurt, retirement's always an option. When you start getting guys talking about retirement, it's real. It's a real consideration. And I think, okay, what if this season goes the way where the Steelers have horrible numbers?
4-12.
Yeah, whatever that is. Now they've traded away their first round draft pick, so it's not like they can go get some offensive firepower in the first round. And he's looking at a team that's a total rebuild. What if they decide to make a coaching change? There's so many things that can happen between now and when he's got to make that next decision. And when you look at the way that his contract's structured, his money is guaranteed. Half of his money is guaranteed for injury. So he'll still get $30 million over the next 2 years of his $60 million that I think it's $60 million. Those numbers are close.
No, you're right.
So he's got the chance to get that money. He's talked about retirement in the past. We don't know where this team is headed. They've given away their first-round draft pick because they're going to try to compete right now. A lot can change as he goes into this next offseason that can make him take a step back and say, a little bit like Andrew Luck, enough is enough.
So I would be shocked if Ben doesn't play next year. Now, I'd also be shocked if Ben, when he does come back, looks like the Ben Roethlisberger we've grown accustomed to, and the Steelers look like the Steelers we've grown accustomed to. I think that this year, even if he had stayed healthy, they were staring at their first losing season since he's been the quarterback of the team. Steelers have one losing season this century, and it was the year before Ben got there. They drafted Ben Roethlisberger after going 6-10. They go 15-1 that year, and they have not had a losing season since then. But I believe that Ben is going to come back and not try to just get 30, but try to get the full 60. I think he's not going to just play one more year. I think he's going to try to play 2 more years, which is what's left on his deal. And the Steelers clearly believe that, because you do not trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick if you think Ben is walking away.
Or they love Mason
at the
Rudolph.
end of this year. Or they love Mason Rudolph. And by the way, they liked Mason Rudolph enough to spend a decent draft pick on him, despite having the previous year spend a decent draft pick on Josh Dobbs, and despite the fact that, if you remember, Ben Roethlisberger was none too pleased about that Mason Rudolph draft pick.
Well, what's the correlation between Minkah Fitzpatrick and Ben Roethlisberger?
Because
how do you equate those two?
If you're going, because if you think the quarterback might retire, you need that first-round pick to maybe draft a quarterback. Especially if you're going to have a terrible season. If you're going to be
well, if you have a quarterback that you like, you're going to go trade for a defensive player because you don't think this season is a throwaway. Obviously, they're going into this thinking, we've got a guy that's going to allow us to compete over the rest of the season.
Yes.
Now we got to go get another piece. I don't think they're looking at saying, yeah, we're going to have to save that draft pick for another quarterback.
Well, I don't think they are either, clearly, but I think that if Ben had announced yesterday, let me ask you this real quick. If Ben had announced yesterday, I'm retiring, you think they still make that trade? Because I think there's 0% they make that trade.
No, I think they still would probably make that trade because you're 2 games into the season. Who wants to sit back at 2 games into the season? This is Pittsburgh. This isn't a team
We've never seen
that
what's
lays
going
down
on in Miami either. Let's not try to act like losing the NFL is acceptable. No, it's not acceptable. In the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're the one said they haven't had a losing season this century.
They've won this century.
Yeah. I mean, that right there would speak to what they're trying to do.
I think Ben's coming back, but I also think that his time as an elite quarterback and the Steelers' time as a championship contender with Ben Roethlisberger as their quarterback, it probably actually came to a close a year ago, but it officially came to a close when he left the field grabbing his elbow on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I tell people all the time in sports, there's a great tale of in the Bible of Daniel and the lion's den. People wonder if Daniel had courage before the lion got there. And typically you don't. Typically you have the courage or you have the wherewithal to overcome something once it's there. Ben Roethlisberger, as far as his track record, Ben's always been one to maybe want a little more attention, maybe to say more about his injuries, maybe exaggerate, I'm going to be out, then he makes a comeback. I followed Ben his whole career. I've been in TV his whole career, and that's been Ben's reputation. Ben likes the attention. Maybe a couple years ago, he was like, you know something? Now that we know about AB, how difficult it was, maybe he was like, man, I got a lot of money in the bank. I don't need to keep coming to work listening to this, because veteran players, what becomes hard for them as they get older, the practices, how often, because they can't get to the level that they're used to as often as they're used to it, and the conversations in the locker room. Imagine how good Tom Brady has to be to keep his mind fresh with the young turnover that goes on in the NFL. Just imagine what type of mind tricks he would have to do. Imagine what he would have to do outside of their company to make sure that he has some type of balance. So for me, I believe all those things might be true to Ben Roethlisberger, but I'm going to give Ben credit for the heart that I've seen him playing. He's played like a gladiator in this game. He's been a warrior, and I believe that heart gets him over this obstacle. Now, none of us know ligament damage to your elbow, what it's going to do to Ben, but you don't have to be taking care of your body like Drew Brees and Tom Brady as far as can he overcome this. It has nothing to do with it.
Real quick, see, because I want to make sure I followed the analogy fully. So for you, the lion in the Daniel Lyons Den might be the elbow injury.
Yes.
That it's going to trigger something in Big Ben that we hadn't previously seen as far as...
Well, you haven't seen it in the version that you like.
Sure.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen Baltimore have an all-out blitz. I've seen Ray Lewis hit him right in his chin. Okay? I don't care if you're eating avocado ice cream. If you can take that punch, you're a warrior in this game, and I'm giving that dude credit. I'm not going to let people sit here and be like, oh, this guy is not tough. No, he's overcome tougher things than this. And I do believe that what him and AB were going through, it wore Ben out. And a couple years ago, that might have been the reason why he was talking about those types of things.
And I give Ben a ton of credit for being able to navigate through that environment. Tom Brady does have the benefit of a really disciplined environment with a lot of guys who have tremendous character. We all talk about the different families. And to your point, he is one of the toughest players that I've ever competed against, I've ever seen at that position. And I disagree that their championship window is gone. If he is on the field, if he is part of that organization,
you've always said
you have a chance to win a championship regardless of who else is there.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.